Something that I suppose is I suppose, yeah, I really want to ask you in the context of this conversation is about, for the indigenous communities, including those on the African savannah, including people like, the Maasai and others who have, like, records of their cultures and traditions going back, like, thousands of years, but they have never, at scale at least, never domesticated plants or animals in the same way. Is there a different conversation to be had with regard veganism? I think one conversation I remember in particular, because I read a written transcript of a conversation with somebody from the Inuit people who was given an example about their relationship with the animals in their food chain. And it is a sustainable relationship of both honor and respect. It is not like a mass market for, again, that word, enjoyment and convenience. And so, I suppose I just wonder, where does that kind of like sit with you, and like, what differs in that conversation?
It's a different conversation, absolutely, and because it should be a conversation different for each culture, for each person, really. So because the conversation is a two-way dialogue. So you say, look, I don't want to do any harm. This is what I do. So do you want to do any harm? And the other person says yes or no, and this is what I do. And then, oh, look, we do the same thing. Oh, that's different. So why don't you try this? Oh, I never tried this before. There is no culture, Inuit or anywhere, that is close to a conversation. So this idea that some cultures don't have neither the intellect nor the will to have a conversation with other cultures, I think is a simplistic idea from the domineering cultures. It's a way to put down other cultures, to say, look, the Inuit can be vegan because that concept is far too complicated for them. Only we ask the intelligent human beings from this culture are the ones that can be vegan. No, I don't accept that. I think all cultures, all individuals from many cultures can be vegan, because veganism is a philosophy. And denying someone a philosophy is just saying that they don't have a mental capacity to think, and that is insulting. So everybody from any culture could think, develop their own philosophies, and among that philosophy have that concept of doing no harm as a major tenet of what they want to do. Now, the same thing has to be said that no culture is static. There's no culture, not even the Inuits, that they do the same thing now that they did 10,000 years ago. They all change with the information they acquire. I mean, the Inuit come from Africa too. At one point, the Africans ended up there. So why did they not bring with them all the African traditions, and they changed from those traditions to the traditions of the Inuit? At one point, they did that. It's never happened in a single point. It was a gradual thing. That means it's still happening now. All cultures of all these cultures that now they're in contact with information they didn't have before, they are entitled, like anybody else, to learn from others, to use that information, and to change and evolve in the way they want to evolve. So therefore, I can imagine a world of vegan Inuits in the future, while the Inuits themselves decided that their own way to interpret ahimsa is stop killing the whales, because we only done that in the last 10,000 years, but we didn't do it before. So why we still have to do it now? But now we can plant this in a greenhouse that is a traditional Inuit greenhouse. Nobody else does it in this way. And we can plant things now that we couldn't before because we have learned these ways. It's up to them to decide to want to do this. And it's not up to me to tell them what to do it. But if we had this conversation with them, for me, it would be an equal conversation. I would say, look, this is how I do it at my flat in London. How you do your ahimsa thing? They might say, well, look, we do have a very strict limit about the numbers of animals they kill. And I would say, that is good, having a strict limit. Have you thought in going even half that amount? And what is the problem that you would have? That conversation might lead to nowhere or might lead to somewhere. But in the end, it's not up to me to impose the modern way of veganism. It's for me to allow any culture to choose how to interpret veganism in a way that leads equally everywhere in the world to the same result, which is minimizing the harm done to others. Simple as that.